And the reason I'm pausing on this is that this is an area that is just ripe for controversy with the tax authorities. It's an area that we need to think about, and there's really three ways we can approach this problem. One is we can bite the bullet, use one of the rules of thumb that companies use, and leave a little more income in the United States out of the combined group than we probably have to. We pay a little more tax in the U.S. than we have to. And the theory is, pay the IRS, they go away. Pay the tax man, they don't bother you. The second theory is that we can be very aggressive, and we can get an economic study that allocates and requires us to pay as little tax as possible in the U.S. That's very expensive. I'll just warn you, we will do it, but it is expensive, and most startup companies won't incur that cost. And the third solution is to have what we call adequate documentation. And that is enough analysis to justify the amount of income that is left in the U.S. company being taxed in the U.S., but it's not the most optimal solution. It's enough to avoid penalties so that when we do get that fight with the revenue authorities, we at least know we're only arguing over tax and not over penalties. That's a somewhat arcane, so I'm going to see that. I'm going to talk about this a little more in a minute, but I want to drill down a little bit on what I said about that first strategy. Remember what I said about having a foreign company own the U.S. company? Well, what do we do with the IP? Well, typically the IP will be in a very tax-efficient jurisdiction. And that could be a number of places. It could be Switzerland, it could be Luxembourg. Typically that intellectual property would be held in a place where it can grow in value and appreciate free of tax. And keep in mind, it's a significant number. You're looking at 35% federal in the U.S., plus in California another 9%. That's a blended rate of 42% currently. So it's a substantial amount. It's a relatively high tax jurisdiction. So there are good reasons for doing this, keeping the intangible property and the value outside the U.S. Now, I will tell you that this whole world is about to change a little bit, because under the Obama administration proposals, there was a proposal to lower the corporate tax rate from 35% to 28% and provide even lower rates for U.S. manufacturers. On the other hand, we give and we take away. There are proposals that would penalize U.S. companies that transfer intangible property offshore. But for you folks, that's only good news, because it means the rates are going to go down on IP coming into the U.S. Capitalization. So, once you form a company, you're going to have to fund it, right? It's going to require money for operations, and you'll need to get rolling. You know, after you sell your car, mortgage your house, and you put the money into the company, how does it go in? Well, it could be debt or equity. The distinguishing characteristic of debt is that it has to be paid back with interest. Equity, on the other hand, does not have to be. Almost always we use a lot of equity. The advantage of debt is that interest on the debt is deductible for tax purposes. It lowers your U.S. tax bill, but dividends on equity or capital are not deductible. Now again, the world might change, because the Obama administration just last week issued a white paper or a report indicating that, gee, we think there's a disparity here. We think that the law encourages companies to take on a lot of debt because the interest is deductible. And that might turn a healthy company into an unhealthy company because it can't pay back the debt. And almost every startup is insolvent right from the start, by the way, because of this debt issue. So this may change, but for now, there's some planning that can be done around capitalization in terms of lowering the U.S. taxes. But most startup companies, they're not that concerned about taxes. Honestly, they're not. They're more worried about business issues. They're more worried about some of the very practical issues. And if they have tax, and they're going to have losses for a long time anyway, they're not going to pay tax anyhow. So most startup companies, if they have a tax bill, well, that's not a bad problem to have. So we don't focus on that too much. We look more at the practical issues. And the number one, or one of the main issues, is what to do about employees. So just want to make a couple of points. I guess, first of all, payroll tax is an area that's, well, let me back up a little bit. Employees under state and federal minimum wage laws have to